Time now for Ask the Expert. January is Cervical Health Month, and while we are coming up on the last day of January here, it is never too late to be proactive when it comes to your health.
Dr. Jacqueline Pakel with the Medical College of Wisconsin joins us live this afternoon. Most women get pap smears. Can you explain why it's important for a pap smear?
It's the best way to an early detection for cervical cancer. It's really decreased the amount of cervical cancer in the United States.
What are the screening recommendations right now? What's the best practices?
Start at 21. Between 21 and 29, every 3 years, just the PAP, and then after that, you want to get PAP and HPV every 5 years until the age of 65.
Okay, everyone's talking about HPV. What do we need to know about HPV?
It's sexually transmitted, but 80% of the population is at some time infected with it. So it's a very common virus. Not all of the viruses cause cancer.
Okay, but there is a strand of HPV that can cause cervical cancer?
Yes, about 12 strands now we've detected.
You talk about the pap smears. Are you tested for HPV at the same time, or is that a different process?
Under the age of 30, we don't check for the HPV, but over the age of 30, we do.
Okay. And should women, again, when you're 40, you should be getting a pap smear, what, every year? Correct?
Every 5.
Every 5.
As long as you're in the low risk category. If you're in a high risk category, it needs to be every year.
Okay, explain low and high for us.
Right. So a high risk category, it is inclusive of anybody who is immune compromised. If you've been subjected to diethylstilbestrol, so DES in utero, so if your mom took that while she was pregnant with you, or if you have a prior abnormal pap smear that's been treated.
How have the recommendations for screening changed over time?
So we used to do it on an annual basis. We know now that we overtreat. So the balance is don't do it too often so that you're treating things that wouldn't become cancerous in the long run, but do it often enough so that you can detect it.
And now there's an HPV vaccine. Is this something that people don't need to worry about as much? I mean, if you get the shot, can you keep a little more out of your mind, or do you really need to stay on top of it?
You need to stay on top of it because only 4, well, there's 2 different vaccines, but 2 or 4 of the viruses are covered, and so you still need to get your annual or get your screening, like we said, 3 to 5 years.
All right. Well, if you have questions for the expert, you can always email them at today'stmj4.com. You can also leave a voicemail at 967-52